Okay, so these are the general notes for Unit 2, the SOAR presentation. Um, and so again, I'm going to start with some general notes for feedback after you've already done them and taken the notes uh, from True A. So these are just some additional ones. I'm going to start with general notes, and then I'm going to go sentence by sentence. So the first thing, now to build on what we did in Unit 1, is before you even start recording, I want you to go through the layers, figure out all the technical stuff first. So it's in your short-term memory, and you've got any notes you need to write down. First, look up any vocab you're going to need. So go through, if you have to do a little vocab list and then go through what's the sign to make sure you have all those, do that. Take a look at where in the sentences you're going to have to fingerspell, where you're going to have to use numbers. Make sure you know all of those things before going in, because better to have that stuff first and then start practicing the sentences, then do the first sentence and then go and search for the stuff and then come back. One thing that will help with grammar is doing it all at once. The grammar, the lessons you learn in one sentence will help the next sentence almost invariably. So don't do it piecemeal. Try to do it in a process to prime yourself. So vocab, fingerspelling, numbers. Also look at, with fingerspelling, are there any of the lexicalized ones that we've met, like bank or lexicalization? So make sure you know what's going to be expected of you vocab-wise and fingerspelling-wise, etc. Also take a look at, will any of these sentences benefit from using a list? Whatever. So just to be aware of what the list is going to be and then what things you're going to use. The next, look at whether it's one sentence or multiple sentences. Will you need to break them up? And if you are going, and either way, are there questions? Yes, no questions, WH questions, because it depends on what your eyebrows do. Are they positive statements or negative statements? So make sure you know this one's negative or this one's positive, because that will affect your facial expressions and your grammar. The next thing to look at is, are they clearly object, subject, verb, or are they more description, topic, comment? Sometimes the same sentence can be both ways. Oftentimes the deciding factor is what's easier for you to approach, what makes more sense to you. The next thing is placement and pointing. Will it help to have things placed here and here? And remember, is it going to be visually more clear? I don't care what you think in your head, because English sets things up differently. Question is, when you put it on video, is it going to look more clear if you do or if you just go That's not clear, but that's very clear. Okay. And so again, that's the contrastive structure, right? And you could have like 3 things, you could have 4 things, however many you need. Once you get past 5, it gets confusing, but we're not going to do that here. And again, if you start to have more things that you're going to refer to, a list is probably more helpful than setting them up in space. Now, with listing, if you're talking about things happening, things existing, number of children, whatever, brothers, sisters, supplies for school, what if something happens in a process? Something happens first and then second and third. You can do first thing here, second thing here, third thing here, or you can do first thing here, second thing here, third thing here. On video, this one's a little more confusing. But if you're talking about this year, this happened, this year, this happened, this year, this happened, or if it's just a couple things, doing it forward might make sense because that's the flow of time. Others you could do here, 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 like freshman year, sophomore, junior, senior. It's very visually clear, especially on video. So I guess I'll call that process if things happen in a time order. And then really the last thing is, again, I want to emphasize showing visually the comparisons, this to this. Don't think what spoken language does. Think about visually. If you were filming this as a silent movie, would you have to show 2 different things? If you just show the same person in the center of the screen, is it going to be confusing? All right, so first sentence, let me read it as well. It says, please bring a book, paper, and pen to class. It's kind of awkward English. Okay, so we're talking about 3 things bring to class. And it could be object, subject, verb. You've got your 3 things, class. The problem is it's not class bring. Class bring other things. There's multiple objects. I think the simplest way is topic, comment. If you say these 3 things, here's my topic, these 3 things, you bring them to class, right? Bring to class. So a list is good. All right, so topic, comment, these 3 things. I used to go to an oral school, a mainstream school, and then finally graduated from a deaf school. So we're talking about process, right? We're talking about through time. And it's not specific what years. So a list wouldn't really be appropriate. It wouldn't be specific. I'll just say that. So if we set up here, here, and here, the 3 different schools. So I did this, and then blah, 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 I went to here, and then blah, 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 I went to here, and this happened. Graduated. So that's a very clear way of visually putting it for the camera. It also, because there's no specific years, we're not worrying about ages or like senior year, sophomore year. We don't have any of that. So I will suggest you could either do in the past. That's okay. A better one is growing up. What you're doing is you're saying from here to here, as I was growing up, these things happened, right? So we learned grow up. So that would be a really good one for this. Growing up, what did I do? Like maybe entered oral school, oral for lip reading. Then I went to mainstream school. Then I went to, or just because that we don't even need the deaf, but that's more specific. Deaf Institute, graduated. So it's kind of a weird thing, but if you think about it, if you drop a lot of the English words, you can show it very succinctly and simply, right? It's a lot less to sign. So I hope that makes sense. If you sign that a few times, I think it will start to make a little bit more logical sense than trying to piecemeal the English. So the next sentence, number 3, the high school principal in the hallway is a nice woman. So we've got high school principal is a nice woman, right? So it's a description. You could do object, subject, verb. But then what do you do with in the hallway? That's kind of confusing. If you set up that high school principal over there in the hallway, now we have a picture of where that person is. Then you can go. So again, topic, comment, set up the description of the person. That's almost a sentence in itself, right? So I'm hoping by looking at these, now that you have more signs and you understand more things, that we can actually get simpler in how we express them. And you're also seeing how important the facial expressions are. So you can't skimp on those. For number 4, I am a full-time student. So you could easily go, yeah, that works. It's very English. But when we see full-time, it could either be employee or student. It might be clearer to say I'm a student full-time. So it's a subtle difference, but try both ways. See if it makes sense when I'm saying, if you narrow it down to student, it's clearer, and then say part-time, full-time, as opposed to I am full-time, you don't know, and then I'm a full-time makeup tester, right? Whatever, they like it. I'm in a line with bunnies and they do stuff to me. It's more clear if you go, I'm a student, and then add the specific description, full-time. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Number 5. I wanted to enroll in law school, but I changed my major to psychology. So just like the one when we talked about going to school, over time something changed. And it's not specific. It doesn't say in my junior year I changed. It's just I changed my major. So here's one where you could set one up here and one up here and do that transition. And change, we saw in a couple other videos where change can be that transition, right? So you go from here to here, and it's like very clear what's going on. So I'd say in the past, I wanted, or when I entered college, I wanted to enroll in law school. Past, want go law school, right? So that's the most specific to what's written. I used to want go law school. Or you could OSV it, right? So that's the first half of the sentence. But change my major. So notice how I split it up into 2 very bite-sized chunks. So it's very clear for me to sign. And I can take my time. Don't ever rush your signing. Take your time. Number 6. Cream colored. But here's the difference. White, right? White colored, right? If it's like doing this in kind of white. If you just go, you put the kind of face with the color white, and you've got it, as opposed to neon white or dark white, kind of whitish. It's very awkward to say that. Because I'm more of a pale blue. Actually, in this light, I'm kind of a ruddy pink. Anyway, so my math textbook is dark green and cream. I'm assuming it's color, right? I don't think it's made with cream. So, again, we're topic comment. If you look at it that way, my book is this color or these colors, right? So, and if you set up color, absolutely clear what you're going to do next, right? So, or dark green and whitish. And you don't need the dark. Remember when they talked about how if you lower it down, put the facial expression of dark with green and sign green lower, that it clearly means dark green and whitish. Number 7, my favorite class is ASL. What a shameless plug. What a shameless way of getting students to decide. So now they can take that and they can put that in advertisement and go, look, their favorite class. Anyway, so here you could do OSV, or you could do topic comment. You could start with eyebrows up, new topic. My favorite class is what? ASL. La, 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 la. Or ASL, that class. My favorite. ASL class. my favorite. So there are a couple different choices. Topic comment or object subject verb. So hopefully that's making more sense grammatically speaking. Number 8, at my university during my freshman year, I started with 98 students in my class. And then in my senior year, there were only 67 students left. It looks like a nightmare sentence to sign, but it's actually very similar to the previous one where we talked about I wanted to be in law school, but I changed, except now we have specific years. So my university, boom, boom. So if we set up my university, we're talking about this place. If you set up the list of 5, now we're going to be talking about years, right? So I entered as a freshman, right? So entered as a freshman. So this is in my freshman year at the university, right? There were 90, I started with 98. So you don't need start because this is the start, right? This is the start of college. So boom, or with 98 students. No. Either one had with. Now we're going to make a transition to my senior year. Left 67. And I want to emphasize, you don't have to make these rocking numbers big. 98, 67. They're not huge. Don't twist the whole hand. This is not a Harry Potter spell. It literally is just to confirm that you can rock. You can rock. You rock, right? Just can't get away with saying that. Okay. So left 67. You don't really even have to say students, but you could. Number 9, I'm majoring in nursing and working on a minor in medical engineering. Working on, you don't need it. You can, but that actually makes it look like this is my job. So you're talking about a minor, right? So basically, my major is nursing, my minor is at medical engineering. Simplify, right? Unless the simplification eliminates actual information, especially if it's vocab. When you look at sentences, notice what's the vocab we've learned. You can't drop anything that's vocab because we've got it there for a reason. We're looking for that sign or a variation on that sign. So don't screw yourself over by dropping points for making it easy, because we're bastards. We're trying to make it hard for you, right? Right. Okay. So I'm majoring in nursing and working on a minor in medical engineering. Remember, me and my difference. So there's 2 different ways you could sign it. My major is, or I'm majoring in this and minoring in that. So we'll stick with my, since the simple. My major, nursing. Switch to the other side, minor, medical engineering. Make sense? Cool. So number 10 is I only like tests that contain multiple choice and true false answers. That is a tough sentence. How do you make it simpler? Because it's like the game of Clue. You're not talking about what you have. You're trying to find what you don't have. So you're going to talk about 2 kinds of tests when there are a bunch more. You're saying, no, I only like these 2, not these 2. So there's information that's sort of left out of the English. So visually, how do you make it clear? You can imagine here is a PowerPoint with a whole bunch of different styles of test questions. And you're going to black out all these except for these two, right? The two that you like. That's what you mean by I only like these two out of all the others. So I will recommend if you say of all the types of tests, I only like these two. So think about it in that way, visually speaking. So tests, different, like a whole list of them. I like these two. Truth or true, false. Those two. So you can sign it a little bit differently, but that I think is the clearest of tests. Different. Blah, there's a ton of them. I like two. Boom, boom, boom. Only these two. These two can go away. Right? I almost swore. Choice. And take a look at how they sign multiple choice. There's a couple different options. Or those two I like. That's it. Done. Only or this is a more advanced side, but limited to those two. But so don't worry about limited to. Like that's just that window. All this crap can go away. All this, no, just those. Right. So I would say this two, that's it. So hopefully that makes sense. Watch that again. Because it's how would you explain it to a 2-year-old? If you asked a kindergartner, so or a first grader, you've started taking tests. What kind of test do you like? I don't like any. Okay, well, do you have true false tests? Yes. Do you like them? No. Are they better than multiple choice? Kinda. What about when you have to write a sentence? Oh, I hate those, right? So true, false, and multiple choice are better, but that's a low bar, right? So think about it like that at an elementary level, because that's really where your signing is, right? That's where your language processing for sign language, for visual language is. Embrace it, use it for its strengths. Cool. So that's the 10 for Unit 2, SOAR.